the right time to use a more passive profit-focused strategy? We talk a lot about aggressive repricing, slightly undercutting, pursuing the buy box, all that kind of stuff. And you might be wondering, what are the more profit-focused strategies for? Like, at what point should I use them? And that's a good question, because we do talk a lot about, pursuing that buy box and just grabbing those sales. But what about if you are not really that bothered about super aggressively pursuing that buy box just to grab sales for grabbing sales sake? What if you really want to maximize your profit potential? Now, ultimately, any strategy you choose in Profit Protect Pro, if it can reach your max, it will reach your max. But the profit focused strategies stand a bit more of a chance of reaching your max price, just due to the way that they're designed, due to the way that they work. Now, there are essentially three for you. If you are an FBA seller, you've got these FBA focused strategies. And for Merchant Fulfilled, you have one, but kind of two. So what we're looking at here is the Dynamic Profit Builder, Hybrid Profit Harvester, Passive Profit Maximizer, and then the MF Cautious Sales Enhancer and the MF Dynamic Profit Builder. So these strategies, if I was to sort of break them down for you, are basically like Venus flytrap. So instead of aggressively pursuing that buy box, and that they won't do any undercutting, nothing like that, the lowest they would go is essentially just to match the buy box, but quite often where they can, they will sit just above it. And that would be the case even more so if, say, you were one of the only FBA sellers on the listing, because you could afford to sit just above and still be in with a chance of winning, especially if a lot of your competition is, say, Merchant Fulfilled. And if you are Merchant Fulfilled, again, for these kinds of strategies, if you have a listing where again, most of your competition is just other Merchant Fulfilled sellers, you can essentially afford to wait for that buy box to rotate around to you. I mean, what will dictate how often it rotates around to you will be things like if ultimately you do have a competitive price, decent stock, good reviews, all that kind of stuff that goes into winning the buy box, and Amazon will rotate that buy box round to you. But with these kinds of strategies, they really clamp down on the buy box once they get it. That's why I liken them to a Venus flytrap. Once that buy box falls to you, once it's allocated to you, it really grabs it with an iron grip. So what these ones will do is they will do their very best to achieve your max price, whereas the other ones, like if you're using an aggressive strategy, that knows that you are favoring sales. So if jumping up too high is putting your buy box at risk and therefore your sales at risk, it won't do it. Whereas these ones, they will do their very best to achieve that max price by taking slightly bigger jumps. And of course, if that happens to fail, it will learn and then try one that's slightly smaller. They're very clever with bumping that price up, because that's their focus more so than, we just need to make sales. So if you have a relatively quiet listing overall, or one where, like, if you're FBA, you might be one of the only sellers on there, you could definitely afford to use a profit-focused strategy. In this scenario right here, I would say that's definitely the case. So if we imagine that we were seller number 2 here, we've got the most stock of all of the FBA sellers. In fact, we've got the most stock overall. That's a good thing. And right now, I would say that they're only matching this price because this person holds the buy box and they're going to sell out soon. So once we secure that, we could then take a jump up. Maybe it'll be matching this person right here. And then we could probably push it up. The strategy could probably push it up just a little bit more, just to secure the buy box at a new FBA high. That's reasonable. I mean, this one is sort of a bit out there compared to all the stuff that's up here. But eventually, it will move up to join this kind of pricing up here. And then eventually will reach your max price. So it's very clever with how it maneuvers to make that happen. And they're really good at holding that buy box. Whereas, like with an aggressive strategy, because of all the various jumps, little bumps and things like that, the chances of having that buy box slip away due to those attempts is only slightly more. And of course, it will learn and undercut and grab it again and rinse and repeat to find sort of like the best price it can get you. These ones are focused on getting you the best price possible, as close to that max. They will ensure that that is the case. So a quieter listing, one where you're sort of like the dominant competition anyway, you could definitely afford to use one of those strategies. So give it a try. If you're really not sure of which one to choose, I would say start with a dynamic profit builder and then work your way up. The passive profit maximizer is the one that is the most focused on achieving that max price. So hopefully this helps you understand when the best point would be to give these a shot. As I say, start with dynamic if you're not sure, and then if things are going well with that, hybrid profit harvester. Again, if things go well, passive profit maximizer. Hopefully this helps. Thank you for watching.